Okay, hello everyone. Thank you for joining us. As people are still rolling in, I'd like to start with the regular question of where people are from, which is a nice chat. I am currently in London, so hi. Let us know in the chat box in the bottom right corner is where you open it up if you've never used this software before. It's great to see. Oh, wow. Salt Lake City, Paris, Vienna. Awesome. Love to see it. Oh, Cape Town, Sevilla. Amazing. Lovely to have all of you here. Thank you so much for taking the time to chat with us today. I am excited to be joined by Christo, our co-founder and CEO, as well as Dan, Pavel, and Boris, all from the product organization. My name is Sveti. I am the director of product marketing here at Payhawk, and today we've got a very exciting event and a lot of new product additions and capabilities to share with you. So we have a packed agenda, and I'm not going to waste any more time. Let's go straight into it. Quick announcement for anyone that might have missed the communication that was part of the invitations or emails or social media posts. 3 of our viewers today have a chance to win a full subscription to Payhawk's AI Office of the CFO, which means all of our agents directly embedded in your Payhawk product. And at the end of the event, once this is over, we will draw the 3 lucky people. We're not going to be showing any company emails or sensitive data throughout the webinar. We'll just draw them afterwards and share an email with each of you. So keep an eye out for the follow-up emails that you'll get after the webinar is over. Great. So as some of you, hopefully most of you have seen, we very recently launched our Fall 25 edition called The New Intelligent Way of Working. This is basically what this webinar is going to cover from all of our agents, including other capabilities such as global payments through the platform, expense reports, and a few other things that we will share with you throughout the event. Quick reminder, at the bottom right where the chat box is, there is also a questions tab. This is where I would invite all of you to add any questions throughout the entire event, because we have a Q&A at the end and we would like to answer all of them. If you send them in the chat, there is a chance they get lost. I will be navigating this whole thing, so you would be doing me a solid if you just drop them in the questions tab, and I'll make sure we get through all of them. And if any remain unanswered at the end of the event, we'll follow up with you and make sure you have the answer to your question. Okay, so I mentioned our agents a couple of times, and we're going to pay very specific attention to each of these individually going forward. But I want to make a little announcement right now that our procurement agent, our travel agent, and our payments agent have been in early access for a couple of weeks. And the financial controller agent is in early access starting today, which means any one of our existing customers can go into Payhawk Labs, which is under settings, and enable the financial controller and try it out for yourself. In this webinar, you're going to see exactly what each agent does and how you can test it and play around with it. And let's just get started. Before we jump into the individual sections of today's conversation, talking purchasing, business travel, expense management, and payments, I'll hand it over to Christo, our co-founder and CEO, to introduce you to the AI office in general and Payhawk for anyone on here that is new to the company.
Okay, thank you, Sveti. Welcome, everybody. Really glad to be part of this webinar and to have the opportunity to explain you and show you some of the things we have been working for more than 1 year, which we are very, very excited about. So for those of you who are not aware of Payhawk, we are trying to create a spending experience that both employees and finance team people love. What Payhawk is an AI-powered spend management system helping businesses manage any kind of spend, including company cards, bill payments, reimbursements, accounts payable, and most recently purchase ordering as well. With the latest release, we are also allowing employees to manage travel, which is something that we are very, very excited about. So our mission is to make the experience between employees and finance one that everybody loves, while we save you time and money for the business. So it's a single platform that allows to manage all of those experiences into one place. You have the ability to manage now very complex workflows so that you can actually build the specific processes from a finance perspective that you need to control your organization, whether it comes from expense management and company cards, whether it comes from debit and credit cards and policies and rules where they can be used, business payments and global payments coupled with accounts payable. We also are adding the intake to pay experience for purchases that needs to be requested for the business. As I mentioned, travel. And on top of that, we're building a very robust enterprise system that has very robust budgeting, security, multi-entity management capabilities that give you this access. The platform is today available in 32 countries. We have customers from every single industry that you can imagine. We have more than 5,000 customers that we work with on more than over 32 countries today. We are not specific to any kind of industry. We have customers from, as far as transportation, logistics to, energy, hospitality, software, and so on and so forth. Today, you can use Payhawk and issue payment products in 32 countries. With 7 currencies supported locally, including the payment methods for those currencies from that perspective. So when we talk about AI, one of the most important things has been, how do we approach AI? What is AI and how do we go about it? And, we targeting finance people, we know that finance people are extremely pragmatic. And we really didn't like some of the gimmick where a lot of companies jumped on the bandwagon to go and explain that they're doing AI by just putting this on their homepage. We wanted to go and build something very pragmatic and very thoughtful across the board that really changes how spend management is done. So if we look today at how companies are trying to adopt AI, there is a huge high intent. Like 80% of organizations are piloting AI tools, but only 40% are getting to actually deploy something, and measuring the ROI on those is just 5%. And there are several key things that are blocking it. But the number one struggle to adopt AI is enterprise readiness. A lot of those tools are extremely good for a demo, but very impractical to be adopted at scale for a company that is in, let's say, in 5, 10, 15 countries and has employees all over the world. So for us, we are building Payhawk AI on 3 core pillars. We're building it with artificial intelligence in mind. So you have powerful agents that are reimagining the travel, the procurement, the payments experience, unlocking new user experiences and use cases that were not possible before. We're bringing the robust payments infrastructure that we have with modern card issuing, bill payments, cross-border transfers, and local accounts in those countries that we support. And then we lay over this with enterprise SaaS. So you have timeless features like workflows and policies and multi-tenancy and permission and security that are necessary to actually make them successful at scale. So one of the exciting things about those agents is that we are not only thinking about how to bring those agents within the Slack or Teams where your teams are currently living, but how to actually fully transform the Payhawk experience today in your portal and mobile. And I'm happy to show you some of this experience that we are building now. So this is the Payhawk platform. You can see that front and centers, we are bringing the agents, and this is coming with our November release. You have the ability to drop expenses, request travel, ask for purchases, deal with that. So we're going to now just go and drop a file. And the agent is going to be able to instantly, without any information, just process the invoice, look at what this kind of expense this is, match it to your specific transaction, and then identify the right note and the right category and submit this on behalf of the users directly. And we are extremely excited about this because it really saves a huge amount of time for everybody. We're working on supporting this with multiple files, so you can actually go and drop a bunch of files if you have from your Uber. We're also adding the ability to authenticate on behalf of the user in a subscription website, let's say like uber.com, so that your users have the ability to not have to log in for those websites and leave an agent to go and find the invoices, download them, match them with your transactions, do the category assignment, create the note, and just submit them on behalf of your employees. And we are extremely excited how this is going to live within the platform. We are reimagining a lot of the experience that exists today in Payhawk with this kind of an AI-first approach, which we believe is the future going forward.
Awesome.
Okay.
Thank you for thank you for taking us through that, Krista. I really like one comparison that you've made in the past in internal meetings is that AI is just another way to communicate with the product. And I think that's exactly what's going to be the game changer for the Payhawk platform. Taking it one step further, intelligent purchasing is our next point of focus. And this is where Pavel is going to take us through our new requests feature and our procurement agent. Purchasing and procurement might sound like slightly scary words for some of you on here that may connect that with very complicated and heavy processes, but we're going to show you exactly why that's no longer the case. Take it away, Pavel.
Thank you, Sveti, and thank you again, everyone, for taking the time to join us today. I'm really excited to be talking about the procurement agent, and with it, it's all about how you can facilitate the proactive approval of any spend. Now, proactive control of spend has always been has a lot of benefits. It's always been a good thing, but it's always come at a big cost in terms of implementation. It usually adds user friction and backfires when the business pushbacks as like it's another type of bureaucracy that they need to follow. Now, with the procurement agent, we want to streamline all of your requests with an intelligent routing and make sure that the agent guides it to the right process without carrying over that burden for the employee. Now, procurement today, as we've seen it when talking to customers day in and day out, is very fragmented, very inefficient. There's a lot of different tools, there's a lot of different stakeholders, and they rarely talk to each other. As a new person in the company trying to request something, it's really hard to figure out where you need to go. There might be 5 documentation pages that nobody has seen since a year ago, and you don't know who you need to go to, who you need to message, or which system you need to open. Now, what we want to do to change that is to have one entry point for all of your requests. Whether you're buying a new mouse, whether you're buying Salesforce, whether you're buying a book or you're going on a conference for 2 weeks, it all should follow the same flow and the same fundamentals. Ultimately, it's the user experience that is at the core of making every process success. The key thing is that you have the full customizability for all of these processes, and we'll see that in a second. Implementing the procurement agent we've seen can save you at least 60% of the time for a purchasing lifecycle. And a lot of that is from the saving of the back and forth from all of the synchronous communication from different stakeholders. There is no longer 5 days of wait time for the employee and the procurement manager to just collect the requirements. The procurement agent is going to do that for you. It's going to make sure that as each person in the process is involved, it would have collected the right context to reach that step. Enough talk about this. Let's actually go and see how that works out in action. So we're going to put ourselves into Mary's shoes here and go into the AI office of the CEO to open our procurement agent. Now, Mary has an L&D allowance and wants to go to the Money 2020 conference. Drops a quick snippet here of the price. It has a bunch of details on the days, the conditions, and so on. The procurement agent takes this, and that's all it needs. It figures out what is the process that it needs to follow and how much is the cost, how we're going to pay for that. It's summarizing the whole request really nicely. All Mary needs to do is to just confirm the submission. Now, she never needs to get into the product in the first place. She can do all of that through Slack or Teams or whatever. She's going to be kept in the loop through the agent, while in the meantime, the approvers will get full visibility regardless of the platform, whether it's the portal, the mobile, Slack, on incoming requests in real time. As I move over to the approvers view, we're going to show that in the portal. I see Mary's request here. And crucially here, I see probably the most important thing that we want to focus on here is the budget impact. As a budget owner, and it's the second of the month, so happily my budget is at 0% utilization right now, but I see that I have carryover commitments from last month, most likely. I see how much I have available. And most importantly, I see how this approval is going to impact my budget. So I can make a really conscious decision at this stage. Should I allow this conference ticket or not? I have all of the other data for the request too, the document, the fields, the description, how we're going to pay for that. And using that whole holistic context, I can make the best decision. I know whether I need to approve this. I know whether I need to reject this. I have the full information. Let's go on and approve this. So Mary can go off on conference and see what happens next. Mary at this point would be kept engaged through the agent on the progress of her request. She's going to get a notification, hey, your request is approved. That means you get your money on the card. You can go on and buy your conference ticket. So Mary never needs to worry about what happens with that request, who is waiting for, and so on. The agent is keeping her in the loop. If we move a little bit forward, and let's say Mary already bought that ticket, what the system does is it immediately recognizes that that card transaction is for Mary's request for the conference. So what we're able to do is we automatically, leveraging AI, link that spend to that request. So we carry over the context from the request to the payment. Now at this stage, the finance team has full visibility, knows that the expense fits within the requested amount. And all that actually Mary needs to do here is go to her email, get the invoice, drop it and submit it. And that's just until we figure out how an agent can do that for her too. Now, how does all of this actually work? We just saw an L&D lifecycle end-to-end. I'm putting on my admin hat right now, and let's jump into the settings to see it. So as you go into settings, you would move over to requests on the left side, and you can see all of the different types that you have in the system. Now, these are fully customizable, so you can tailor them for your needs and to be compliant with your own policies. You can have disabled types, so you have maybe a work in progress process. You are experimenting with something new, which you're not yet confident to roll out to employees. That's completely fine. Let's take a deeper look into L&D as an example. Now, we just saw how it is from the end user perspective, but what's happening in the background? So you have the description, you have a hint which you can give to employees so they can make a better decision on what data to provide. You have the field management. So in this case, it's very lightweight. I don't care about suppliers. There's no recurring requests and so on. There's no additional information I need for this. It's just a simple categorization and department, which is not even visible to the employee. It's very lightweight, and that's the beauty of it, because that's how L&D works with us. If you take a look at the workflow, you can see that very visually. It's a submit from the employee, approval from the team manager, money on the card, employee goes and buys what was requested and approved. The system would carry over that context from the request to the payment and link them automatically. So everybody has the right visibility in place. Now, if we take hardware as a contrasting use case, it can get a little bit more complicated. There's a lot more context into hardware that we need. So the field settings might be slightly different. There's an additional information that we require for employees here, actually. So there's a field visible for employees, which is custom required for submission. And this is how we collect data for whether this is eligible for replacement, just old hardware, hardware for a new employee, or maybe just replacing something damaged. Now, I can add any fields I want here. Drop downs, dates, text, and many more types, which we're going to add. And the important bit is I can carry over that context into the workflow. So let's see that. Let's go to edit and zoom in on the workflow. Now, in this case, unlike L&D, we have a review step, and this is where our procurement manager plays a crucial role. Kiddo figures out where we're going to buy this from, how much it's going to cost, and ensures we're making the best deal possible and this is going to arrive on time. Daniel, our IT team, is looking at what is happening with the damaged equipment. Maybe we try to repair it and repurpose it. Maybe we try to sell it. And then based on whether this is a new employee or not, this would either go to the team manager or to HR for approval. Unlike L&D, which we pay by card and directly from the employee, here we have procurement ordering hardware. Suppliers we work with work by bank transfer. So the payment method is actually bill, or sometimes we don't need a payment because we have the equipment available in stock. It's the procurement manager's choice how we're going to handle this request, but he's fully equipped with both options. Let's move back to the procurement agent and see how hardware works out then. We're going to move again in Slack and in Mary's shoes. And in here, let's say our laptop is not working properly. We need a replacement. So how does that look? The agent actually doesn't need anything further than that. The process is, okay, you need a new laptop. I understand why, and I know what process I need to trigger. I know this is about damaged equipment, and I need to follow the hardware process. So I'm going to do that for you. I'm going to submit that request and carry it over. If we step into Kiddo's shoes and go into the requests tab, this is where he would see Mary's request. He would also get notifications in the agent to make sure that he has the proper visibility. But if you check this, the agent already did a lot of the work that Kiddo would otherwise be asking for. So it summarized nicely the request, figured out that this is replacing something damaged, as we saw. It made some of the categorization automatically, knowing this is CapEx, knowing Mary is in Amsterdam, in the marketing team. All Kiddo needs to do is basically his core job description, figuring out what we're going to buy and where from. So I'm quickly going to the Dell website here and grabbing a screenshot of a laptop. I think it's sufficient in this case. And I give this detail to the system in here. And that's enough at this point. So the system would figure out how much this costs, what is the exact model, which is the supplier we're going to buy this from. As Kiddo here, I just need to figure out whether we have this available right now or not. I'm going to say it's payable by bill in this case, because this is how we pay Dell. And then I can go on and review that. Now this will move over the flow to the next step. In our case, if you remember, that was the IT team collecting damaged equipment from the employee. And then after that, the team manager and so on. All of these people are going to be involved at the right time, at the right place. The approvers will get notification. They would be able to approve directly in the agent. Mary would get constant progress updates on what's happening with her purchase. And maybe she can even go to the procurement agent and say, hey, can you ask Daniel for me why this is waiting so long? The procurement agent is going to orchestrate all of these interactions and make sure that the process is moving forward. So that being said, we have a lot more that we're working on the procurement agent side, but I hope what you've already seen is enough to spur your interest and make you want to try it out. So we'll be very open for you to test it out, try it, give us feedback, and engage in the conversation. That wraps it up for the procurement agent. And we're moving on to the next topic. That would be roles and permissions. So with roles and permissions for this release, we've done something very fundamental in the system. We've made an important distinction between the built-in roles, the table stakes critical personas you need in the system for it to work, like admins, accountants, and employees. And we've extended that with auditors, IT admins, AP specialists, these core functions, while also giving you the flexibility of role extensions, where you can assign specific responsibilities to users, like managing a team or being the assistant for a user. That being said, we have a demo prepared for that too, so we can jump quickly in the product and show how that works. Now, with roles, it's very tricky to get it right as you scale. So you have a lot of entities, you have a lot of departments, you have cross-functional people left and right. So it's very tricky to get right access control. Let's see what the product gives you to nail this. So if we go to settings and roles and permissions, you can see we have the built-in roles and the role extensions available at your disposal. The built-in roles, table stakes, working out of the box, applicable to many businesses, where you have IT admins who can manage system configuration, integrations, security, policies, and so on, without anything related to financial data. You have AP specialists who can manage the chart of accounts, the financial workflows, and so on, without getting access to IT settings, which they might break without wanting to. You can have auditors, which is a read-only role, perfect for giving visibility to personas like compliance, legal, HR, maybe external auditors, without giving them any modification rights in the system, so we can keep the control tight. Then you have the role extensions, where you can configure the specific access the team managers get, or maybe leverage our new executive assistants to reduce the operational load on your C-level staff. Now, let's go to the employees module and see how that actually works out in practice. So I'm going to go to Carolina here, and I'm going to assign her an assistant. She's on a C-level team. She needs a lot more time on her hands, so let's save her some. We assign Anna, and what that does is we're going to give Anna access to manage all of the expenses and requests of Carolina. She can submit expenses on her behalf, she can make requests, she can upload receipts, and save her that operational time. What you might have had previously is Anna might have actually been a team manager of Carolina or an accountant just to get access to her expenses. You no longer need to do that. You can revert her access back to an employee and keep things clean. Pro tip, Anna can manage multiple executives here, so you can assign her as an assistant to multiple people. Make sure you leverage her potential at the maximum so you can keep things as efficient as possible for your strategic team. That being said, while this is already quite exciting, we're building a lot more new stuff for roles and permissions. We're working on custom roles. These are going to be shipped quite soon, so stay tuned for further updates in the rest of the year. Seti, Mike, back to you.
Thank you. Thank you, Pavel. I want to bring it back shortly to the procurement agent because personally, as a member of the marketing team, being completely lost with the procurement process, I've been thoroughly enjoying the capability of just sending a screenshot and saying, I need this for that event, or please, can I just buy a microphone or 5 microphones for an upcoming webinar? So that was a very nice experience. And roles and role extensions and permissions are going to become even more important when we're jumping into AI agents, supporting users and doing things that only their roles allow them to do. So all of that is very key and very exciting. Moving on to intelligent business travel. Travel booking is new in Payhawk, and the whole topic is very exciting to me specifically, but I'm sure also everyone on this call. And I'm going to give Bobby the floor to take us through it.
Thank you, Teddy. I want to start with the biggest problems that companies managing travel face today. First of all, what we see when speaking to customers and forward-looking companies is that travel policy is often buried in an employee's handbook, a Notion, or a PDF somewhere that no one reads. The approvals are manual. Usually you have separate systems for the booking experience. The payments are disconnected, and someone needs to manually match the invoice to the payment transaction. We actually know the pain of business travel firsthand. So 6 months ago, if I were to go on a conference, I had to log a request in our HR system, contact the travel agency, calculate my allowance based on our policy, and request funds on my card, which was, really frustrating. So how the travel agent changes things is it brings everything into a full end-to-end and compliant flow that is built for finance. And you can see the numbers. So let's take a step back. Let's zoom out for a bit and go through the end-to-end journey you can see on this slide. So essentially, everything starts with the travel policy. The way it works is the agent ingests the policy and rules. It allows me as a traveler to make travel requests. The agent will recommend options based both on company policy and my personal preferences. And the best thing is that as a traveler, I don't have to remember the policy. I have to, literally all I have to do is pick my preferred option. The request will go through the necessary approvals, and then the agent will automatically book the flights and hotels and top up my card. I'll get notified every step of the way, while accountants in our team will get the invoice at the moment of booking. Last but not least, expenses during the trip are automatically grouped into a trip report that accountants can choose how they want to be exported into their external system. Again, ultimately, if you had to remember one thing from all these slides, is that rather than the previous world which is a bit fragmented to say the least, we are bringing all of these into one place, making the process simpler and faster for everyone involved. But in our slides, let's jump into the demo. As you see, we have the concept of requests in Payhawk, and travel is one of them. Of course, there may be different types of travel requests you want to have available to your team. You can create a different type for each one of those right here. For the purposes of the demo, let's configure our general travel request. You can decide what information you need to collect from travelers beyond the destination and dates. For example, reason for travel. Whatever you require, the engine will collect from the employee before triggering the approval workflow. And of course, the Payhawk policy is also built directly into the travel request. We have a default policy that you can edit. The agent will use this information to sort the list of flight and hotel options and to also flag anything that's outside of policy. And yeah, we'll see that in just a bit. So how will that work with our workflow? In Payhawk, a business trip is just like any other request. So you can build the approvals however you like. Maybe in policy trips get auto-approved, but anything outside the policy goes to finance, or maybe you want a centralized travel manager that reviews all requests. That's entirely up to you. The key difference compared to other tools is that in Payhawk, a single approval can cover the cost of the flight, hotel, and even things like daily allowances needed for that trip. So yeah, that's basically for the configuration itself. Let's see all of that in action for my upcoming London trip. So what I'm going to do here is just tell the agent precisely where and when I'm going, and it would instantly come back with flight options based on the company policy, hopefully. So it acts as a real human agent. So you can see the flight options are presented here. I have all the essential information that I need. So go ahead and choose the British Airways option. As you can see, I have, I know that I have one carry-on included. The baggage is there. The agent will double check if I need to book a hotel, and in that case, I'll need I'll need a hotel as well near the Payhawk office. So yeah, here are the hotel options. So you can see, actually, I like the last one, but it's outside of the company policy. So I'll probably go for the fourth one. You can pretty much ask the agent anything, but if you're confident, you can just go and choose an option. In that case, I'm going to go with the fourth option. You can ask it even for images of the hotels if you need that. For rooms, this is obviously the next step. You're used to the experience in booking. You can see we show whether breakfast is included in the room options. Everyone will have a different rate. And for this, I'll just go ahead and choose the first one. I don't really like breakfast of the hotels, but yeah. Maybe, the agent just needs to confirm that, and it would ask me for the reason for a trip. In that case, I'm going to accounting conference, and I also ask for a 250 euro allowance that I use to spend during my trip. So the last thing is just the agent confirming my trip details. The best thing is that I will also get that via email, and at any point I can ask my agent any information about that. So just go ahead and confirm it. Again, as you can see, you have all the essential information, the cancellation policy, the baggage policy, the terms and conditions, both for the airline and the hotel. And if anything happens, the agent will notify me along the way. So the travel request has been created and submitted for approval. I'll go ahead, direct the request, and let's see how the experience looks like for the approver. In that case, I can see both the flight and accommodation. They're both within policy. I can see all the details that you saw me in making the request. We have the payment method and all the different line items. I have everything essentially that I need to approve this request. So let's go ahead and approve that. So once this is approved, if you remember, again, in the beginning of the presentation, I mentioned that we will automatically be creating the expense report. So here, the flight is already booked. The agent books it because it's approved. The trip report is created. You can see the expense for the respective flight and a generated invoice. This is a Payhawk invoice generated on behalf of British Airways, so that reconciliation is already there. Just a reminder, any expense that I do on this trip will be automatically grouped so that managers in our finance team have the full overview of my spend. And that's it. That's the end-to-end journey. Define your policy and workflow once, let the agent handle the booking within those guardrails. And then, as you just saw, reconciliation basically takes care of itself. It's compliant, it's automated, it's much easier for employees. So I really can't wait for you to try it out.
Thank you, Bobby. I'm already seeing tons of questions rolling in for travel, so we'll have a packed Q&A. And I don't want to waste any of the time, so moving on to intelligent expense management. I'll be covering this one today. And when we talk about intelligent expense management, our main highlight is our financial controller agent. As a reminder to anyone who might have joined a little bit later, the financial controller agent is the last of the first 4 Payhawk agents that is now, as of today, literally right now, available for open beta or early access, or however you may call it, meaning you can go on, open your Payhawk account, go to settings, go to Payhawk Labs, and enable the agent or any of the others that you're seeing in this webinar and try it out for yourself. When we talk about the financial controller agent, it focuses on efficiency. Efficiency, efficiency, efficiency. That is its focus for the employee, for the approver, and also for the finance team when processing expenses. When we speak to our customers, a fun, common question that we like to ask is, do you know who your most common offenders are? Most regular people who are late with expenses, never get their receipts on time, or they're always crumbled, or they're always coming up with some sort of reason not to have them. And funnily enough, most of the times, finance teams know exactly who those people are. But those conversations never stop being awkward and just not fun to have. So the function of, as a human, having to chase other humans is nothing that anybody likes. And the financial controller in the first place helps with quicker submissions and helps avoid those conversations exactly. Today, the chaos, literally the cost of chaos, is that manual work of employees forgetting and having to be chased, managers forgetting to approve, not being sure whether something should be approved or not, accountants struggling with missing data, and then controllers not being able to close the month on time, and finance leaders struggling with their reports and accurate data for them. Now, the intelligent expense journey, or the financial controller's impact towards the faster month-end close, which is effectively what we're all aiming for, is that it pushes employees to submit quicker by chasing them. It pushes approvers to not be bottlenecks by reminding them often as much as needed to get things through. And then through accountants and their processing, through the export to the accounting system or ERP, closing the month, and also your forecasts and your reporting being on time and correct. When we talk about use cases, the financial controller is a little bit different from the travel and the procurement agent. There's not a per se end-to-end all-encompassing process. It is the expense lifecycle, which can look in many different ways. But currently, the focus of the agent is submission and approval chasing. It uses, for the purpose of example of this webinar, Slack to chase employees to submit or to approve. It also helps with receiving and filling gaps and collecting important information to submit expenses and process them quicker. Very soon, we will also be introducing online receipt fetching, which pretty much works in the following way. The agent will crawl vendor portals or vendor websites for you that you would usually have to do every single month when the invoice is just sat there under 17 tabs on the Dell.com or whatever vendor website. The agent will be doing that for you, so you no longer have to waste time with it. And also management and visibility. So configuring the reminders and seeing the impact of the agent more clearly are also things that will be available very soon. So if we want to also see that in action quickly, the demo, by the way, that Christo shared a little bit earlier with the agent working within the portal, that was the financial controller agent as well. I'm going to show you a little bit more detailed video of how the agent works in Slack for this example. So let's say I have paid with my card for a taxi and I haven't submitted my expense. I'm going to get a reminder like this, first things first. It's going to be very mild. And then let's say I do nothing. As the week progresses and the month progresses, I'm going to get more and more reminders that are going to be more persistent as we get closer to month end. If I, by any chance, do not submit by month end, they're going to get really aggressive. Basically, this is for an example of a reminder. You still have an expense that needs your attention. And I can now upload my expense, my receipt in this thread, or just drag and drop it if I'm doing it later in the day, don't want to look at that thread, submitting it and leaving it up to the agent to do the rest. It is now scanning that in that receipt and making sure that it has everything it needs to submit it. And as you can see here, it's not only submitted it, but it's also created my note and my category fully automatically, which saves me a lot of time and also the finance team. Now, another thing that the agent helps with is approvals, as mentioned. So as you can see here, I have 2 expenses that I have to approve. I can do that by directly one click, done. Or in this one, for example, I can go in, check the receipt. And if I'm not happy with it, I could reject it, for example. Or I could also just leave a comment, return it to the employee, ask for justification. Why didn't you use the train? And it'll go back to the employee for review to provide some sort of justification. And once they submit it again, it will land with me and I will have to decide once again whether I would approve or reject. And simple as that. Natural conversation makes it super easy for you to really stay on top of your submissions, approvals, and very soon it will also be supporting our finance teams with review and the accounting review step. And that's it for the financial controller. Again, I'm going to repeat myself. Go ahead and try it out if you're an existing Payhawk customer, and if you're not, just reach out and we'll get you the chance to try it as well. And our 5th focus point is intelligent payments. This is where I'll hand it over to Dan, who can guide us through our global payments capabilities as well as the payments agent. Take it away, Dan.
Thanks, Sveti. Hey, everyone. So I'm going to talk about 2 things today. The first will be global payments. So with global payments, we're introducing a dramatic expansion to the currencies that we currently support for outgoing bank transfers. To enable this, we've partnered with JP Morgan to bring enterprise-grade payment services and global coverage, as well as market-leading rates, all accessible directly within Payhawk, and importantly, not requiring additional onboarding or partnership with a third party. So with global payments, you can pay supplier bills and reimbursements to recipients around the world in 115 currencies, all from your Payhawk Euro and GBP accounts, all while leveraging growing selections of payment rails, including local rails such as ACH and using SWIFT for coverage in 150 plus additional countries. In some cases, we've seen international payments settling as little as 11 minutes, which is really fast. On the pricing side, we've designed this in a way that allows us to be extremely competitive with just 0.3% FX markup on top traded currencies and a €1 local transfer fee. Our pricing is better than all of the top alternatives. For example, think about paying a USD invoice from Europe to a supplier in the US. We'll do a demo of this in a moment. So when making those payments, selecting the right slide there. When making those payments from Payhawk, we'll see immediate tangible savings. So now on to the next. So we'll look at an actual example here, right? So in this example, we're paying 20 invoices worth a total of $100,000 from our Payhawk Euro account to suppliers in the US. So with Payhawk, the cost of doing that is €278. Compare that to Wise at €440, Spendesk at $1,000, and traditional banks usually at $1,500 plus for the same payments. The difference is clear. Payhawk is significantly more cost effective. So what we'll do is we'll look at a quick demo of global payments in action on the platform. So first, we'll go over the intent process of paying a USD invoice to a supplier in the US directly from a Euro account. All right, so we'll start by providing an invoice that needs to be paid. So with Payhawk, as you probably know, you can do this either through manual upload, email, or in the future through e-invoicing. In this case, we'll upload it manually and we'll use the Dell laptop request that Pavel walked us through a few minutes ago. So you'll see here, all of the data is extracted from the document automatically. And so you can see that the invoice is directly matched to the Dell laptop request. I verify the fields, looks good, click submit. So since there are no discrepancies between the invoice and the request, I'll skip the approval step and go directly to the review and the payment. So in Payhawk, the review step is where the finance team can check the details of the expense like categorization, other relevant accounting detail. Once reviewed, the expense and invoice are automatically synced to the ERP, which can also happen in bulk. So now onto the payment section. Here, we do the execution in 2 steps. First, separating the confirmation and actual authorization. So in the confirmation step, you can see all the relevant payment details, total amount paid, transfer fee based on chosen payment rail, and supplier details. So here, when you click the details, see the FX rate. Once the details are confirmed, we click save. Payment is ready to be authorized by the people assigned in our workflow, which is configured elsewhere. And all this is done securely through 2-factor authentication and like all other payments on the platform. So here we can see that progressing. So in our case, the approver is either the CEO, Hristo, CFO, Konstantin, or our finance director. So there's one step left here, which is clicking the pay button, which will complete the payment. So that's it. At Payhawk, we aspire to be the best place for businesses to manage, send, and hold money worldwide. Global payments is just the start. Soon we'll be delivering even more capabilities that will strengthen our offering in the banking space. Please do stay tuned to learn more about that.
Thank you, Dan. And one more topic.
Yeah, so the second thing I want to talk about today is the payments agent. So this will be our fourth and final agent to show you today. So with the payment agent, it's focused on finance team enablement and support. So finance teams are fielding huge amounts of questions and requests every day that are stopping them from focusing on real work. This is why we built the payments agent, to help get teams, and so finance teams and other teams, support quick for resolution of everyday transaction questions and issues without having to ping finance. So with the payment agent, you can ask questions for info about transactions, limits, card statuses. You can understand failed transactions, request limit increases, and more, which we'll get into. So this can save up to 35 hours of troubleshooting per month. Think about what the finance team could do with that additional time. And the time savings are not just confined to finance either. So faster resolution means less frustration, fewer delays in everyday work. And most importantly, the agent operates within your own workflows and policies. You decide what it should do and what can do. We'll always respect those guardrails. Everything it does is logged in the exact same way as manual action, so you won't be sacrificing compliance in favor of speed. So we'll do one last demo here. All right, so let's start with something simple but common. Imagine I've misplaced my card. I just tell the agent and it freezes it instantly, so there's no risk of misuse. And here, similarly, you can see I unblock it just as easily when I find the card. So many other actions are supported. For example, viewing my balance or asking when I can expect scheduled top-ups. It's a brand new way of interacting with the Payhawk platform that's much quicker and more intuitive. So now let's see what happens when something goes wrong. So I just tried a payment at Airbnb, booking, and my card was declined. So you can see the agent pings me instantly to explain what happened and, importantly, suggest a fix. So requesting more funds to enable the transaction. So I'm going to take it up on this offer and say yes, ask for more funds. So in this case, additional funds are requested and a notice sent to my manager so they know what the money's for. The agent will route this request to my manager, who can approve or deny in one click. Once approved, my card can be topped up and then I can retry the payment. So a much quicker way to troubleshoot issues than waiting for a response from finance or even raising a ticket, as is typically the case. So in summary, what the payment agent allows, employees can get proactive explanation, instant fixes, and self-service. Approvers get smart contextual requests. Finance gets time back, and every single action is logged and fully compliant. It's instant clarity, instant resolution, and a lot less firefighting for everyone. And that's it for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan. And that leaves us, over here on our Q&A with a little bit over 10 minutes. So let's jump straight into this. Now we have a lot of questions, and where do we start? I'm going to go to the earlier ones that we've had today. For example, there's a couple of questions relating to if we have a set date for the release of the agents on Teams. Krista, would you like to take that one?
Yes, absolutely. So I think, first of all, I want to say that I really enjoyed the number of questions we were getting. I'm trying to answer with the team as much as possible, but they're just hundreds. First of all, on Teams, we're working with the team to get that available. We do have some challenges with how Teams is structured. They don't support threads, which makes it a little bit more complicated, and that's why we have decided to make sure that for our November release, we have the support for the portal and the mobile, which actually give access to our agents to every single customer of Payhawk, regardless of what kind of platform they use. For Teams, we expect to be able to do that by most likely end of the year, but we are still working with Microsoft on identifying, the best way to have the agents working and behaving there, given that they have some limitations of how you can design threads in a one-on-one conversation, which is still not possible.
Thank you, Christo. Another one that has come, it relates to the integrity of AI. Saying AI sometimes lacks in reliability. We touched a little bit on the fact that AI agent actions would be traceable, but Wilco is asking whether users and admins would be able to compare their input versus the AI work. So differentiating human from AI steps, actions.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, in general, I think one of the big concerns about that is, first of all, in terms of security, we have designed the agents in a way where they are fully abide by the rules, the permissions, the workflows that you have designed in the system. They're essentially acting as the workflow, and they cannot do anything else that the user does. They also leave a track audit trail. So for example, if the agent goes and tops up money, this is available in the audit trails for example, for the card, so that you can actually see that that came through a request and that was added by the agent. I would say that also when it comes to making sure that there is no hallucination and so on and so forth, which were actually many of the questions, we do try to provide a lot of capabilities behind the scenes to make sure the quality and the output is good enough, so that this happens less and less. And of course, the other way design principle we have is that we give full access and visibility for the user to actually see what the agent has done, so that it can always correct or adjust the action if it's not happy with the result. And there were many questions about, for example, the procurement and travel, asking if we are actually allowing the agent to do these payments on behalf of the user. Yes, we do. So the agent can use the company card of the employee to make a purchase, and it can use the company card in the future to make a procurement purchase as well, if that is necessary. And of course, this is a way where trusting the agent versus trusting the person is we don't trust anybody. We just design the system in a way where you can actually see who did what, how, and so on. So there is no difference between designing the agent or the person. You then don't think about it. You design the process you want to be followed, and then the agent is just an actor executing that within the absolutely same experience. So there is no settings for the agents or whatsoever.
If anything, agents can also sometimes be even more trustworthy than people. Thank you, Christo. There's one question, Pavel, that I'm going to throw at you. Geraldine is asking, how are different requests made to the procurement agent linked to the respective budgets? How does that work?
That's a great question, and it's a key core principle of how the whole intake to pay solution works. So each request, as well as the expense, carries over a set of categorization fields. So your GLs, your departments, anything that you want to structure your budgets on top of. And we carry over that context from the request to the payment, meaning on the request, you can select the right fields you want to, the right fields you want to set from the users, from automation, so that you can make sure that this links into the right budget. It's happening automatically just based on the dimensions that your budgets use. Then that will commit the spend after approval. And as you expense this request, you would get it utilized in the same budget. So you have the full visibility.
Thank you, Pavel. I saw a similar question, which I've lost now, but there was a question of how the financial controller agent chooses, where does it take the categories that it adds to expenses? And it's a similar answer, because these agents work in the context of Payhawk. Your entire account company setup, all of your accounting data, everything that you use within the portal is part of the agent's knowledge. So when someone submits an expense, it contextually reads the document, reads the information that it has about the transaction, and then it categorizes based on your actual GL codes. So whatever you have with your accounting system that is also within Payhawk, the agent knows and uses as a basis for its decision-making and category choosing. Okay, then there was one question that isn't AI related, but I think it's a good one. Everett asked if the team manager role allows them to see expenses across subsidiary, I'm going to say entities, across entities without having to invite them to other entities. This is a very basic function of our multi-entity management capabilities. But yes, Pavel, you wanted to answer? I saw that.
Yeah, so on the manager side, right now, as managers, if they're involved in the approval process, they're going to get access directly in their inbox. without modification rights unless they're in the same account as the employee. So the short answer to your question, like if you want a manager to have access to all of your employees across various entities, they need to also be added to the same entities as employees.
Thank you, Pavel. Bobby, there's a question from Juan who's asking, they're saying, we are a consulting company, and they're asking whether the travel process could be centralized so that 1 or 2 people can be requesting flights and or hotels for third parties. They have travel managers. Is that something we're looking into?
Yes, great question. This is actually the #1 question we're getting. The first, actually, customers testing the travel agent are requesting precisely this. So this is the next thing on our roadmap, and we expect within a month or so to have it available. It's essentially going to be an additional review step that you also saw with other requests that Pavel showed you. And that review step you can use to set any kind of travel manager you want, so that those can then review and book on behalf of other people.
Great. And one more on travel policies. Riz is asking whether the agent can take into consideration more complicated travel policies. They have a budget for flights in the US that is different from the flights in Europe, etc.
Yeah, so basically this is also something that is going to come very shortly. Essentially, currently the policy supports whatever is defined in our default policy, such as preferred rates, basically any kind of restrictions for a night, basically restriction for amount for staying somewhere in a hotel, regardless of the location. So the next thing we're going to do is allow you to be a little bit more specific, and as you mentioned, precisely this case, basically international travel, having a different restriction of when you're staying in the US versus the EU, for example, both for flights and hotels.
Great, thank you, Bobby. And one question that came in was, can I reclaim VAT with that Payhawk generated invoice instead of one from British Airways or from the direct flight provider?
Yeah, actually, travel is VAT exempt, so we actually don't have VAT on those invoices. We don't also charge you on top of that. So you might also see in some cases our rates actually being cheaper. But yeah, we're not in fact reselling travel, so we won't be inputting any or adding any VAT on top of that.
Thank you, Bobby. Okay, Everett is asking, I'll take this one. Have you solved reminder fatigue? Do we have settings to tone up or tone down notifications by the agent? This is one of the things I mentioned as coming soon. There will be an option to manage the settings, very simple settings, but still give you an option to choose the intensity, the persistency, tone of voice, make sure that it's not overwhelming.
Yeah.
Right now they're set to one and the same, but the goal here is at the end to annoy people a little bit. If they're not submitting their expenses, they should be getting annoyed. Chrissy, did you want to add something?
I just wanted to add something that actually the way we have designed this, and we have a big debate about this, is that today you can actually go and tell the agent how often do you want to be reminded. So you can just say, hey, don't remind me for every expense, remind me end of the day, or remind me, on Friday evening, and so on. And we are currently debating with the team whether to leave that feature or actually move it to be something decided by the finance team. And there were a lot of questions about, for example, notification not being sent to C-level. With that capability, we might allow it to just say, hey, don't remind me about those expenses, which is going to actually stop the agent from reminding you, which from one side is a great experience, but from the other side, it's not most likely what exactly finance team allowed to do. So we're still debating about the right design of how notification works so that they're the most effective here. And we would love to hear the experience of those people using currently the agency better, helping us design exactly the right level of notification so that it is as effective as possible.
Yeah, I've seen a couple of people ask the same question over and over of whether C-level can be excluded. You as one of the C-level people on this call, would you exclude yourself from reminders?
To be honest, no, because I think one of the benefits with the reminders that I'm looking forward to is the ability when it reminds me for an expense, let's say for subscriptions, to allow me and to suggest, hey, I can log in on your behalf and do that expense. And I would love to see that because I still have subscriptions that are on my behalf. obviously the ability for these capabilities to store the credentials and or the sessions, and to make sure that next month when I have again an invoice, it just goes and downloads it and just tells me, hey, I just fix the invoice for you. Let me know if you want me to stop that, and so on. So I would say that reminders are not bad even for C-level, especially for this kind of card not present transactions, which are the online subscriptions. 80% of the late expenses of every company is actually those where they remind you, but you're actually traveling, doing something without a computer, and you're like, oh, I need to remember to go and do that when I'm in the office, right? We want to design an experience where it is just a click, you provide the credentials, and then the agent can do that on your behalf. And I'm very, very excited about the things that are coming and how further we can get this technology going forward.
Great. Well, we are at time, and I appreciate that there are a lot of questions we haven't answered, but I promise we will get back to all of you. Just one last thing to mention. You will all get a recording of this event, and a lot of the questions here that refer to when is this available and how can I activate this on my account. If anything has remained unclear, please reach out to our teams. We are waiting to answer all your questions. And thank you for joining again. Have a great rest of the week and see you at the next one. Bye.
Thank you.